Hello everybody. Today you have a quiz on proportions and percents. So we're going to answer the questions below and be sure to show your work and justify your thinking. You're going to write all of your answers here from 1 to 10. They are highlighted in pink. Okay? So even for the first and second page, make sure your answers go here. It's going to be easier for me to grade. So for number 1, it says a 12,000 gallon pool is being filled at a rate of 40 gallons per minute. At this rate, how many minutes will it take to fill the pool 3/4 full? So we have gallons, right? We have gallons per minute, so we have 40 gallons per minute. Okay, so that's 40 gallons in 1 minute. And we want to know how many minutes it's going to take for 9,000 gallons to be filled up. How many minutes is it going to take for that 9,000 gallons to get filled up into that pool? And if you're wondering where I got 9,000 from, because they did tell us that is a 12,000 gallon pool. Well, we don't want the whole pool to be filled up. We only want 3/4 of it. So I set up one of my tables and I used T to stand for 1,000. So for example, 3,000, 6,000, 9,000, and 12,000. Well, 1,000, right, or something, 3,000 is 25% or 1/4 of the pool. So what is 25% of 12,000? It is 3,000. Okay. In this case, we have 12,000 gallon pool, and we want 3/4 of it, or 75% of it. So we have 9,000. I've broken up the whole thing into fourths because my fraction was fourths, and I wanted 3 of those fourths. So I had my fractions down here, as well as go with my percentages, and I could find out when I fill them in that it's going to be 9,000. Okay, because each one of these, for example, like if I did 12 divided by 4, I'm going to get 3, so each one is worth 3,000. So to make it easy on you, I did set up your proportion for you, and of course you will cross multiply and divide. So for example, 9,000 times 1 divided by 40 will give you your answer. On number 2, it says the scale on a map is 2 centimeters and it's equal to 25 miles. Sometimes on a map we can't make 25 miles on a map, so we're going to scale that down to 2 centimeters. So for every 2 centimeters on a map, if we measure it, it's going to equal 25 miles. And Dave measured the distance to the next town at 5 centimeters. So how many miles away is the next town? So my centimeters was 2 for every 25 miles. So I can cross multiply 5 times 25 divided by 2, and that's going to give me my answer here. Moving on down, we have number 3. Which set of numbers is equivalent to 75%? So 75%, right? You can look at that as a decimal, right? And if we have a decimal, for example, I can take my 75% and I can move my decimal point 2 spots to the right to give me my percentage, making it 0.75. So I automatically know a couple of answers are eliminated. So for example, if my decimal is 0.75, I can get rid of B and I can get rid of C. So I have 0.75 here and 0.75 here. Right? So now I have a couple of fractions. Well, if I can take my fractions and divide them, I can get a decimal. So another example could be for example, if I took 3 divided by 5, I should get 0.75. Look at that, I do not. Or if I took 15 divided by 20, I should get 0.75. So there you go, that should tell you your answer. So for number 4 and 5, we have to make percent bars. So it says for number 4 is the one that you're going to be doing, okay, on your paper. So for number 5 is the example I want to use. So it says, what is 20% of 75? Well, they started cutting this up into like 10 boxes. So I always put the whole thing. So the whole thing is 75, which is equal to 100% because it's the whole thing. So if I wanted to know 20% of 75, I could easily do this with division. So 20% is going to be right down here, because that is going to be 20% of the whole thing. So if this is 20%, that means this is 10%. Okay, so if I do want to find out what 20% of 75 is, I can go right to my calculator. Okay, so I could do this a couple of different ways. All right, I could do 75 times 20%, and that's going to give me 15. Or another way to do it, right, is I could take it as a decimal. So 75, instead of 20%, I can make this a decimal. And remember, if you're going to be making it a decimal, you have this little invisible decimal point right there. And with that little invisible decimal point, if I want to make it a decimal, I can move it 2 spots to the left, giving me 0.2. Remember, we're going to drop this 0, all right? There is no 0 on the end of any decimal, okay? Unless you're talking about money. Okay? So I could take 75 times 0.2, and it should give me, let's see, 75 times 0.2 should give me 15. There you go. All right. So that means 20% is worth 15. Now, if you are going to label the rest of this, right, because we did find out what 20% of 15, because we do have to finish making this bar. If you can see, right here, I have this black box. Well, if I didn't know this black box, right, it's divided in half. So I can find out how much each box is worth by taking 15 and dividing it in half. And when you divide it in half, you can divide it by 2. It's because I'm taking this box and I'm cutting it by 2. I'm taking the box and dividing it by 2, which gives me 7.5. So each of these boxes are worth 7.5. And if you remember in the lessons above, I can take 7.5 and add it to 15 to get my next value right there. So I can take 7.5 and add it to 15, and I'll get 22.5. And then again, I'm going to add 7.5 to the previous number. And I'm going to get 30. And these are going to be increasing by 10 each time. So instead of 20%, I'm going to get 30%. And you're going to fill in the rest of these, and you're going to attempt these. Remember, what is 25% of 80? So each of these boxes are worth 80. And if you did look at this in a way, you could look at this this way, I suppose, that if you looked at the first boxes they cut up, you can take those boxes and kind of like erase them, right? And you can see that the box is cut in half. So that means I'm going to need to cut the second part also in half. And 25% out of anything is like saying a fourth. So we have 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4. And then you have to figure out how much of 80 is 1/4. right? Or 1/4 is 25% or 0.25. So another example, I'll try to help you out a little bit more. If I did move my decimal, I would have 0.25 or 1/4, right? Of, meaning multiplication, 80, which is going to give me 20. And if I had 4 boxes, right, I could add 20 4 times or multiply it by 4, and that should give me 80. All right, so we do know how much 25% of 80 is by using our little rules there, okay? So it is 25, so you can also think of these boxes as worth 20 each. And remember, if I am adding to the previous number, right, I could take 20, add another 20, right, and I'm going to get 40. And what's half of 80? Half of 80 is 40. So for number 6, it says 3 students wrote equations on their dry erase boards. Which of these students wrote an equation that is true? So if you want to find out if it's true, I can always just divide my fraction to get my decimal and then move it as a percent. So an example for number A could be taking 1/4, which is really 1 divided by 4 equals 25. And remember, we want to know which of these students wrote an equation that is true. So if it is untrue, we are not choosing that answer. Okay? Another example could be letter B. So I could take 7 and divide it by 10, and that's going to give me 7.7. But that says 0.70%, so don't get too confused because I need to take this decimal. This is it. Let me give you another example. This is 0.70%. That does not say 70%. So when I did divide, I got 0.7. So don't get confused because it's already represented as a percentage. So if I wanted to take that example right there, okay, which I had 0.70, if I wanted to make that a regular decimal, right, 0.70%, if I wanted to make this a regular decimal, right, I would still need to move it 2 spots to the right. And move my decimal over to here. So again, is this true or not? Well, I don't know that this is true because as a decimal, it is 0.007. So then we have 13 over 20. So we had 13 over 20. So I can take 13 and divide it by 20. It gives me 0.65. And if I move my decimal into a percentage, meaning I move it to the right, I'm going to get 65%. So for the rest of the problems, I did set up proportions for you, so I'm just going to read the problems. All right, number 7 says, on the beach boardwalk, there are 20 different places to get food. 20% of them are ice cream shops. How many ice cream shops are there in the park? So I set up your proportion down here for you. You can cross multiply and divide. For number 8, it says the United States Air Force has 19 women for every 18 men enlisted. If a squadron has 750 members, approximately how many are women? So again, you're going to be cross multiplying and dividing. Number 9 says Jack is learning to save, spend, and give his money away. He has determined to give away 10% of his summer job earnings. If he gives away $256, how much did he earn this summer? Again, you will be cross multiplying and dividing. Finally, for number 10, Joey has 8 pairs of socks in his drawer. 5 of them are white. What percent of colored socks does Joey have? And your proportion is set up right down there. All right, don't forget you are doing only the pink problems and writing your answers in on Kami or your packet, okay? And don't forget to write your answers in right here. That's going to make it very easy for me to grade, and I can grade them. If you did get one wrong, I can go back and check. For example, if you got number 7 wrong, I can go back and check number 7 down here in your work, all right, to see what you did wrong and give you feedback. That's going to be it for today, guys. Everybody have a great day and stay safe.